back to County Connection. For this segment, we're going to be talking about the Countywide Comprehensive Plan, which is a master plan of sorts. And here to enlighten us is Dan Osborne from the Summit County Planning Department. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, Julie, good to be here.
All right, so give us an overview. What is the Countywide Comprehensive Plan and why do we need it?
You know, it's one of those really popular documents that everybody's familiar with, and I'm sure most people have it at home.
Right, I have it memorized personally.
Awesome. That's exactly actually what we're going for. So what the, in all seriousness, what the Countywide Comp Plan is, it's kind of that 30,000-foot document. It sets the policy for land use decisions that are made throughout the county. You know, staff, me as a planner, and you know the folks that I work with, we really use that as a guiding document as we make land use decisions, make recommendations to our elected officials and appointed officials. They'll review against that really to make sure that we're implementing the priorities of the community. Our current plan was, I think the original one was done back in 2003. It was updated in 2009. So it's time. And you know, we want to go out and really get folks to comment and give us their feedback. This is their community, and we want to make sure that we implement what they want to see.
Okay, great. So just to give folks a little flavor, what would be a couple examples of some of those real high-level policy goals or pieces of guidance that people might find in the comp plan?
Sure. So there's 11 different elements that cover everything from land use to environmental policy to facilities and infrastructure. And those are all mandated by our land use development code. So that's something that's codified, and then we go ahead and write those pieces and put those sections in. You know, one of the big successes over the past few years have been getting open space, identifying open space parcels that we might want to acquire or that we want to work with the other communities in the county to prioritize or to create trailheads, you know, interconnections, things like that. We also have a lot of backcountry areas, you know, those forested lands that are kind of in the view sheds. Right. We wanted to protect those, so we implemented policies and actions that brought the density out of those, the development rights out of those backcountry areas and brought them into the towns where infrastructure and facilities are a lot easier to provide. So those are two examples of where the comp plan had that kind of that 30,000-foot policy. Hey, you know, those backcountry areas are important to us, trails are important to us, and then we implemented policy and we were able to work with our partners throughout the county to get those, you know, bring those to fruition. Mm-hmm. Kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, great. And I think that sometimes it feels a little bit abstract to folks, but I think
Sure.
to your point, you and your colleagues in the planning department are really looking at individual development projects every day and making sure that they're meeting those goals laid out in the plan.
That's exactly the point of the plan. Absolutely.
All right. So what would you say are some of the key goals of the current update process?
So really what we're looking at doing now is bringing, you know, kind of modernizing the plan. You know, we've got a plan, it's really text heavy, there's a lot of stats, a lot of data. We've got data in there that's clear back to 2000. Not too many people access data that way anymore. They'd rather go to a website or have a link, something that they can just click right through and get to the most relevant data. So one of the things that we're really looking at is maybe making the plan smaller, a little more accessible, easier to read, something that people might actually want to, you know, be able to just take a quick look at or reference, and then they can just click through to whatever the most recent population data is, or, you know, who are our community partners that we're working on. We hope to have some of those links to click through in the new plan. Make it a little smaller, a little more elegant, and a little more user-friendly.
Right, and maybe a little more interactive and dynamic.
Yeah, more dynamic document, definitely.
Okay, fantastic. So you started the update process in the spring.
Yep.
And one of the first things that the planning department did was have some initial discussions with Summit County's 5 planning commissions, and those folks who really are looking at development in the county, you know, on a weekly basis or monthly basis, they came up with some ideas about some themes that and questions that we needed to pose to the community. So, what kinds of issues did they come up with in terms of things we really needed to focus on in this update process?
Sure, we've got a couple of themes that are really starting to come out as important to the community. And we're kind of having multiple conversations. The key ideas are kind of the community carrying capacity. Certainly workforce housing, short-term rentals have been in the news quite a bit. Transportation, interconnectedness between the communities, sort of, the congestion, some of those issues are coming up. And climate change. A lot of people are talking about climate change and sort of the impacts and shifting seasons and how that might affect our economy and tourism up here. But I think the main key that we're really starting to see is that community carrying capacity. We have multiple events every single weekend, almost throughout the season, or throughout the year. We really don't have those shoulder seasons that we used to have. Kind of that opportunity where the locals could, take a deep breath and,
right.
Have a little.
Wipe the sweat off their brow.
Yeah, exactly. Have a little bit of time. So we're starting to have a conversation of, well, what does that mean? What is the community's carrying capacity? A big theme that we've heard from many of our stakeholders is, hey, we need to collect some data. What are the trailhead usages? How intensely are we using some of the resources that we have in the community? And then trying to design policies and actions where we can hopefully make best use of those, protect some of those, and keep a little bit for everybody locally too.
Right.
We definitely want to engage and find that balance between the folks that are the bread and butter that are coming in, but also the folks that are the bread and butter for the people coming in.
Sure.
So it's kind of a balancing act, and we really hope that we can find that right that sweet spot.
Sure, and maybe identifying creative ways to change, whether it's our infrastructure or any kind of other aspects of the community to better handle the volumes
absolutely. And that's one of the fun things about the plan is it's not only, just finding what everybody wants, but it's those creative solutions. It's exactly what you just mentioned. Hey, let's think out of the box a little bit so we can have a good user experience for everybody who's visiting the community and who lives in the community.
Mm-hmm. Great. So what is the project timeline, and where along the way does the general public have opportunities for input?
Sure. So as you mentioned earlier, we kicked this off in the spring. We met with the Countywide Planning Commission and the 4 Basin Planning Commissions. Those are, of course, those are open to the public. Anytime that you want to come visit one of those, you're absolutely welcome to come and speak, participate in any way. If you just want to come and watch, that's fine. Right now, we're sort of in the end of our information gathering period. So we've had a bunch of stakeholder groups. We've met with focus groups. We've got a handful of those. We're going out to the farmers market. We're going out to some of the concerts. So tomorrow night we'll be in Frisco. We'll be in Dillon on Friday night. We hit the Breckenridge Town Party a week or so ago. So we're continuing to hit those. We absolutely would encourage people to come out and talk with us. We've got a survey that we're asking people. It's an online survey. To access that survey, we've got hard copies, but you can also go to summitcountycode.gov, comp plan update, and that'll give you all the information on the planning process, the timeline, as well as access to the survey. The next big meeting we have coming up is going to be on July 10th, and that's going to be a countywide planning commission meeting, and we're going to have a bunch of the stakeholder groups.
Excellent. All right. And so again, that's probably a super quick survey, maybe 10 minutes of your time online if people want to give their input.
Right. It's probably even a little faster than that. We're hoping it takes you maybe 4 minutes. If you go online, you can take the survey. You can also enter your email address and be entered to win a wilderness gift card. So we're kind of trying to incentivize it. We want people to take part. This is their plan. This is their community, and we really want to capture that and get people to participate in this process.
Right, and then just to remind folks, this plan will likely be in place for will be guiding decisions for about the next 10 years?
That's what we're looking at, is probably 10 years. We've talked about extending it out maybe even a little bit longer into kind of a 2030 or a 2035 plan, to where we're really taking that long view of what we want the community to be. It'll be both long-term and short-term goals. We'll have the long-term vision, and then we'll implement the short-term goals to get us there.
Great. So a really a great project to give input on, because the resulting end product really does have quite a lot of influence on decisions that'll be made for years ahead.
Absolutely.
Decades even.
Yeah, I mean, it can impact the short-term rentals, the affordable housing, attainable housing, trailhead access, all of those things. So it's very important that we hear from folks in the community.
All right. So then let's see, and we're looking for what at the end of the line here, this update process. When would we think that will take place?
We're hoping to start drafting the actual document in July and August, and then we'll go back to the Planning Commission, we'll go to the BOCC, the Board of County Commissioners, kind of give them an update on where we're at in the project. And then September, October, November, we're going to be finalizing the document. We hope to implement the new plan come the end of 2017. Hopefully December 2017, we'll have this new plan in place and start taking some big strides forward in 2018.
All right, sounds great. Anything else that you want to add about the comp plan update process?
Just want to remind people again, Summit County, summitcountyco.gov comp plan update. Get on there. There's lots of project information. You can take the survey. You can look at the other things, and it also gives a timeline of when we'll have upcoming meetings and a lot of good information on there.
Excellent. And also, people can find out how to get in touch with this guy.
That's right.
All right.
Call this guy right here. We'd be happy to chat.
All right, fantastic. Well, thanks so much for coming in today, Dan.
All right, thanks, Julie. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking with the folks at Summit County Animal Control and Shelter.